A great example in my life of unselfish service is Sister Victoria Antonietti. Victoria was one of the primary teachers in my branch while I was growing up in Argentina. Each Tuesday afternoon, when we gathered for primary, she brought us a chocolate cake. Everyone loved the cake. Well, everyone except me. I hated chocolate cake. And even though she would try to share the cake with me, I always turned down her offer. One day, after she had shared the chocolate cake with the rest of the children, I asked her, "Why don't you bring a different flavor like orange or vanilla?" I know. After laughing a little, she asked me, "Why don't you try a little piece? This cake is made with a special ingredient, and I promise that if you try it, you will like it." I looked around, and to my surprise, everyone seemed to be enjoying the cake. So I agreed to give it a try. Can you guess what happened? I liked it. That was the very first time I had enjoyed chocolate cake. It wasn't until many years later that I found out what the secret ingredient was in Sister Antonietti's chocolate cake. My children and I visited my mother each week. On one of these visits, Mom and I were enjoying a slice of chocolate cake, and I related to her how I came to like the cake for the very first time. Then she enlightened me with the rest of the story. "You see, Chris," my mom said, "Victoria and her family didn't have a lot of resources, and each week she had to choose between paying for the bus to take her and her 4 children to primary, or buying the ingredients to make the chocolate cake for her primary class. She always chose the chocolate cake over the bus, and she and her children walked more than 2 miles each way, regardless of the weather." That day, I had a better appreciation for her chocolate cake. More important, I learned that the secret ingredient in Victoria's cake was the love that she had for those she served and her unselfish sacrifice in our behalf. Thinking back on Victoria's cake helps me remember an unselfish sacrifice and the timeless lessons taught by the Lord to his disciples as he walked toward the treasury of the temple. You know the story. Elder James C. Talmage taught that there were 13 chests, and into these chests the people dropped their contributions for the different purposes indicated by the inscriptions on the boxes. Jesus watched the lines of donors made up of all different types of people. Some gave their gifts with sincerity of purpose, while others cast in great sums of silver and gold, hoping to be seen, noticed, and praised for their donations. Among the many was a poor widow who dropped into one of the treasure chests 2 small bronze coins known as mites. Her contribution amounted to less than half a cent in American money. The Lord called his disciples about him, directed their attention to the poverty-stricken widow and her deed, and said, "Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she over want did cast in all that she had, even all of her living." The widow did not appear to hold a noticeable position in the society of her time. She actually held something more important. Her intentions were pure. She gave all she had to give. Perhaps she gave less than others, more quietly than others, differently than others. In the eyes of some, what she gave was insignificant. But in the eyes of the Savior, the discerner of thoughts and intents of the heart, she gave her all.